Travel with me.
Hey fellow humans, Mina here. Welcome back to another drive-in talk. And just another quick reminder before we get into today's video, some shameless self-promotion. I have a second YouTube channel where I post all of my travel videos, my driving around the world videos, random world video logs, and some Korea footage that is not posted on this channel, and or posted or reposted or whatever. It's all on my second channel, Drive with Mina. I would appreciate it if you went and go and give it a subscribe and like and share and follow all that fun stuff to make the algorithm gods be happy and do their thing. Thank you very much. Yes. Anyway, we've been talking about the Imperium series, and this week we're finally going to the third book. In case you're wondering, the Imperium series is also more commonly known as the Iron Flame series. And this week we are talking about Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Now, before I get into the video, I just want to say that I love this book. But this one's definitely not just a rave like the last two books in this series. This one is certainly got its rants. So before we get into that, let's read the quick blurb on Goodreads. After nearly 18 months at Bath Gaia's World College, Violet Sorengale knows there is no more time for lessons, no more time for uncertainty, because the battle has truly begun, and with enemies closing in from outside their walls and within their ranks, it's impossible to know who to trust. Now Violet must journey beyond the fallen Eritrean wards to seek allies from unfamiliar lands within Navarre. The trip will test every bit of her wit, luck, and strength, but she will do anything to save what she loves, her dragons, her family, her home, and him. You know he is. Even if it means keeping a secret so big it could destroy everything. They need an army, they need power, they need magic, and they need one thing only Violet can find, the truth. But a storm is coming, and not everyone can survive its wrath. Da da da. So, let's get into my thoughts. There will be some spoilers, so if you haven't read this book, it just came out this year. Come back after you've read it. And also, I believe this is going to be a 5-book series, so no more Fourth Wing reviews for a while, because this is the latest and the other ones aren't out yet, but they need to hurry their ass up and get out, because I need to continue on, because she always has her book in a cliffhanger. But yeah, I love this book. Even though I enjoyed it, it had some issues to go with the good, so rants and raves ahead. The first half of the book felt like filler. It was interesting enough to keep me engaged, but I wouldn't call it groundbreaking literature or anything. I didn't really care for the whole quest squad portion of the book. Well, again, I enjoyed it enough to keep reading, but could definitely have been condensed or something. The only cool thing to happen during the whole island hopping portion was Andarna finding her family. Well, and Zayden's mom suddenly appearing. That was interesting as well. At least with the island hopping, we learned more about the world and how other cultures live. I thought it was interesting that there was no magic outside the continent. I just assumed magic was everywhere in this world, but I was wrong. Plus, Violet didn't have to info dump all the new world building facts we learned in this book, so that's a plus. But honestly, I wanted more Zayden turning Venom plot, which I found surprisingly lacking. Sure, we have Violet and a gang looking for a cure, and so far finding none. But at this, compared to the previous book, Zayden was barely in this book, in my opinion. We barely even have him and Violet talking down the bond, since he blocks her out most of the time. The dynamic between them was lacking, which, speaking of, when they were together, all they wanted to do was bone, which, fair, but there was a war going on, guys. It's been a while since I read Iron Flame, but I distinctly remember Violet having a love-hate relationship with Zayden throughout the entire book, because she couldn't fully trust him, and thus she was barely able to tell him that she loved him. Now suddenly he becomes venant, and she won't shut up about how much she loves him, and he's her everything. And she basically says, screw the world if it meant saving Zayden. Did I forget something from Iron Flame? I know I did a review last week on it, but like I did read it before and I was just reading my review. But how did she shift her feelings so harshly? I'm sure I'm forgetting something that happened near the end, so I guess this one is on me, but I'm not rereading a 500-page book that jogged my memory as much as I enjoyed said book, my first read. I will, however, re-listen to the graphic audio book, but not right now. But yeah, now let's talk characters. Loads of major characters from the previous books, like Sloane, basically disappeared for most of the book, and we get some new, at least I don't recall them in the last one, characters that I don't care about. And when they die, I was like, oh, am I supposed to be sad? There was a guy who got shot with an arrow during the island hopping bit, and he died, and honestly, I have no idea who this character was. Was he even in the previous book? I don't remember. Yaros made it sound like he was a bigger player than normal just because he was on this Quest Squad mission, but I really don't recall him, and if his first appearance was actually only in this book, yikes. I think his death was supposed to be impactful, but I certainly didn't feel anything. He contributed nothing to the story. And Sloane? Yaros made her a huge deal about Sloane in Iron Flame, but she was almost non-existent in Iron Storm. She was only there for her signet in both books, which is a super lame signet to have if you ask me. Helpful sometimes, but only during certain occasions. Like 90% of the time, her signet is useless if you ask me. Well, I suppose she could drain someone of their power on the battlefield, which is great, but she's not being used in like that to do this in this series, and thus she's only around when the plot needs her. Even Rhiannon is barely around, and she's Violet's best friend. Which, speaking of Rhi, she gets her own POV chapter near the end of the book that contributed nothing to the story. Also kind of threw me off when it came around. It was a POV of stuff that already happened to Violet, but seen from Rhi's point of view. Yaros could have utilized our time with Rhi a lot better, at least with Imogen's random POV chapter. Near the end, we get new information and a death I actually cared about, somewhat. While the random one-off chapter POVs not from Violet's perspective were mostly interesting, it did throw me off. I mean, we spent like 96.7%, not an accurate number, inside Violet's mind, and randomly near the end, we have 3 non-Violet chapters? Weird stylistic choice, but okay. Now, I know I just ranted, but I gotta admit, I love the hell out of this story, though admittedly the first half of the book was a little slow, again, island hopping, but it picked up, and it picked up hard. It was actually going to be a 4-star read, but the latter half of the book, and especially the ending, oh my god, that ending, made it a solid 5. I knew Yaros was going to end this on a cliffhanger. She does this in the previous 2 books, but like, hot damn, book 4 can't come fast enough. I love how Andarna broke the bond and later returns, but we don't know much about that part yet. How we get more backstory regarding Asher Sorengale and the introduction and end of Violet's nemesis. I can't recall how to spell or say her name, but it was something like Theophany or something like that. Stupid name for such a cool badass character, but I digress. Plus, we learned Violet may not be who we thought she was because her parents did something with the goddess Dune. I'm interested in learning more about that. Who knows who knew there was a backstory behind her hair? I mean, of course, Violet had to be special and not like other girls, but honestly, if the embassy in our books weren't, they probably wouldn't be a story, so I'm not mad she's not like other girls / writers. Also, that cover, the whole Empyrean series has amazing covers, honestly. Each one is so gorgeous, and my copy of Onyx Storm has beautiful sprayed edges with dragons on it. And the formatting and the map, so good. Even if you hate the series, you gotta admit the covers are fantastic, but I love the series, so I proudly display them on my bookshelf. All in all, I think this is a solid addition to the series. It's a 5-star read, but because of the slow start, I don't think it's as good as the first 2. But I still had a blast reading it. There were even some audible gasps when Rita got stabbed, and some actual laugh-out-loud moments. Nothing major, but some lines made me chuckle, so I call this a win. I for sure will be continuing this series, and I can't wait for the next book to arrive. Who knows when that's going to be, because this book just came out, and we don't know when the next one's coming, but yeah, loved it. and can't wait for the next. How about you guys, my fellow humans? Have you read the latest installment? Do you think it's as good as the previous installments, or does it make you feel like continuing, or is it just meh? Do you agree with me or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Anywho, that's all I gotta say for now. If you want to keep hearing more about stuff, be sure to follow me on all your favorite socials. Links below, don't forget, including Drive with Mina. Stay safe and take care. Bye!